Over the years, many people still believe that concerns about appearance, social pressures and incessant search for material goods continue to master their lives. However, when it comes to a certain phase of life, it is clear that these factors are becoming increasingly important. Have you reflected what is really essential to you? What once seemed like a requirement or a social obligation is now irrelevant. Who has never felt that time flies and that beauty standards or external expectations no longer fit their reality anymore? If you are still stuck with these conventions, it may be the ideal time to make a profound and liberating change in your life. Believe me, this transformation brings a sense of unique freedom. Before we continue, I would like to welcome everyone. If this is your first contact with us, enjoy the video and subscribe to the channel. We are here to share reflections on Stoicism, ancient philosophy, and how these ideas can help us live more fully and consciously. Now, let's reflect on how you can leave behind which no longer adds value to your life, living more genuinely and significantly. As we get older, we experience freedom that many people do not realize, the opportunity to simplify life and find true lightness. It is not about giving up our dreams or getting away from the world, but of improving our existence, discarding what no longer serves. Imagine how liberating it would be to give up commitments that consume your energy without bringing any return or detachment from objects that no longer have the purpose on your journey. Retirement, for example, may be an ideal time to change the daily rush for a quiet morning, savoring a delicious breakfast with the fresh bread of the neighborhood bakery, or perhaps reorganizing your home to keep only what really brings happiness and meaning to your life. This new look at life does not represent a loss, but a reunion with what is essential and truly valuable. This is one of the great lessons of this phase of life, the importance of being faithful to yourself. Being authentic inspires special freedom, especially after age 60, when social masks begin to disappear and the desire to please everyone becomes increasingly irrelevant. It no longer makes sense to invest time and energy trying to fit into molds that were never yours. Think of peace that comes from wearing what really makes you feel good, even if it is an old and comfortable sweatshirt, or the freedom to say not without guilt to invitations that make no sense or do not bring pleasure. This phase of life is about taking on your choices and doing things at your own pace. Perhaps, instead of participating in a formal party, you prefer to spend a quiet afternoon in the garden or dive into a good book. Authenticity is also reflected in the deepest conversations, where you can express your thoughts sincerely and wisely. By being true to yourself, you inspire others to do the same by creating a network of authenticity around you. This awakening to what really matters leads us to a fundamental point: the importance of detaching from excess. Throughout life, we often accumulate more than we need, and it is liberating to realize that these excesses are not essential to our happiness. After 60 years, the weight of forgotten objects in drawers or cabinets can be replaced by the lightness of a more functional and welcoming space. Imagine the satisfaction of donating clothes you no longer wear to those who really need, or turn that disorganized room into a special space for reading or meditation. The detachment is how to open the windows of a closed environment, allowing fresh air and light to enter, bringing both physical and emotional renewal. By creating space not only in the environment, but also in mind and heart, we open doors for new experiences and significant moments. As we begin to detach from the material, we also realize that the social norms that we once followed with so hard no longer have the same power over us. With maturity comes a deeper understanding that not all rules need to be followed. Many social conventions are only habits that drain our energy and offer no true joy or satisfaction. Why participate in an event where you don't feel comfortable or maintaining relationships that no longer have meaning? Saying no to these commitments is an act of self-love that allows you to prioritize what really matters. Opt for a relaxed lunch with close friends, instead of participating in a formality that only generates tiredness, is a clear example of how to change the way of living. This kind of conscious choice is not an act of rebellion, but a decision to live more authentically and true to yourself. After 60, true happiness reveals itself in the simplest and most genuine things. It is not about getting a new car or a larger house, but of enjoying the present moment, a warm cafe shared with someone special, or the sunset that makes us sigh of gratitude. Moments like these do not require great investments, just your attention. A quiet walk around the park, feeling the fresh breeze, or taking care of the garden plants while listening to your favorite songs are experiences that enrich the soul in ways no money can buy. By accepting this new perspective on life, we also realize that time marks are not something to be feared but celebrated. Aging is like flipping through a book whose pages tell unique and unforgettable stories. Expression lines on the face are no longer concerns, but symbols of lived moments and lessons learned along the way. By setting aside the search for perfect appearance, we embrace naturalness and feel proud of what we are, with all our ups and downs. After all, each line of expression has its own history, whether it is a shared laugh with friends, of clear nights taking care of the family, or happy moments under the sun. This does not mean abandoning self-care, but prioritizing internal well-being without the pressure to meet external expectations. Set aside time for yourself, practice outdoor yoga, walk, or enjoy a relaxing bath. These activities promote not only body care, but also with mind and soul. By accepting these changes and redefining what really matters, we realize that every moment becomes too precious to be wasted with tasks or commitments that do not bring us satisfaction. It's time to focus on activities that really enrich the soul and bring us close to a full life. If an activity seems more an obligation than a pleasure, it may be time to re-evaluate. By exchanging unnecessary commitments for hobbies that bring joy, such as painting classes, gardening, or learning to play an instrument, the routine becomes more inspiring and satisfactory. In addition, these significant activities strengthen mental and emotional health. How about enrolling in a cooking course or participating in a reading group? Making conscious choices brings us closer to the fullness and helps us reject standards and expectations that no longer make sense. To reach 60 is like gaining the freedom to ignore the superficial expectations of society. Beauty standards imposed by the media lose their relevance when we realize that true beauty lies in authenticity. Gray hair, wrinkles, and natural changes are no longer enemies and become reflections of a well-lived and experienced life. Taking care of yourself is fundamental, but without the pressure to meet the standards imposed. Instead of following trends, look for the comfort of clothes that make you feel good, or invest in care that promotes health and well-being, such as relaxing tea, a good night's sleep, or an outdoor walk. These small gestures are more valuable than any expensive cosmetic. In redefining these priorities, it is clear that life is about prioritizing what really brings happiness. Redefining priorities is like rearranging a suitcase for a lighter and more pleasurable trip, free from the expectations of others and focused on what makes sense to you. This may mean spending more time with those you love, devoting yourself to a forgotten hobby, or simply book times for yourself. If something does not bring joy or well-being, it may be time to leave it behind. Prioritize quiet walks in places that warm the heart, such as a beach, a wooded square, or a simple coffee, can be much more valuable than worrying about forced social commitments. This kind of conscious choice creates a way for a life more focused on quality, well-being and freedom to be who you really are. Now that you have understood the 9 things that lose relevance after the age of 60, the next question is, what are you going to do with this new look at life? Are you ready to leave the expectations that are not yours behind and start prioritizing what really brings happiness? Think about how you can apply these changes to your daily life, being dedicating more time to those who love, abandoning habits that drain your energy or accepting the changes that life brings with such affection. Don't leave tomorrow what you can start today. By reflecting on how to apply these changes, it is worth remembering that each step on this journey towards authenticity and simplicity is a movement that brings more balance and peace to your life. No matter how long you have lived so far, there is always room for a new perspective. True freedom begins when you stop seeking external approval and dedicated yourself to what really makes your heart beat faster. Perhaps it is a creative activity, a project that you have always postponed, or even the simple pleasure of being present in the simplest and genuine moments of life. With each new experience, you get closer to what is essential. Life after 60 reveals a unique wisdom. The things that really make the difference are not linked to what is material, but what is deep and emotional, the way you live the relationships, the ones that cultivate, and the choices you make is what really creates a full life. This includes freeing yourself from the idea that you need to have everything under control, understanding that it is not always necessary to do everything to be happy. Sometimes it is enough to be faithful to yourself, which also means learning to accept that not everything needs to be perfect. The imperfect has its value, and this acceptance brings a deep tranquility. Wrinkles, gray hair and scars are all testimonies of a life lived with intensity, full of experiences that cannot be erased or forgotten. By accepting this part of you, you not only become more authentic, but also inspires others to do the same. The search for perfection is an illusion that, when set aside, brings an indescribable freedom. True transformation happens when you realize that happiness does not depend on great external changes, but how you view the present and deal with your own feelings. So if you are still stuck with standards that make no sense to you, it's time to act. Changing is not a sign of weakness, but of courage. Changing is a choice of living more fully, true and honest with yourself. Each day is a new chance to redefine your life according to your own desires and your own truth. There is no more room to live according to the expectations of society or to get lost in a sea of commitments that do not feed you emotionally. Life is precious, and as the years go through, you begin to realize that simple moments, time with friends, contact with nature and inner peace are true treasures. So when making decisions and planning your days, remember that your happiness is in your hands. It is in the way you choose to spend your time, who decides to be and what you decide to prioritize. Do not let fear of change or attachment to the past prevent it from transformation. Freedom to live authentically is one of the greatest gifts we can achieve throughout life. When seeking this new path, you are not only investing in yourself, but also creating an example of life for those around you, showing that it is possible to live with more meaning, lightness, and happiness. Finally, the journey of life is made of constant choices. If you have decided to live more authentically, simpler and more true, remember that each step taken is a step closer to a future where happiness and fulfillment are built from what really matters. And above all, you can be proud that at the end of the day you will have lived the life you chose to live, not the life that others have tried to impose. May your journey continue to be full of discoveries and new opportunities to be yourself, to embrace life with courage and gratitude. If you liked this content, Be sure to share with someone you believe you can benefit from this reflection and, of course, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring more themes that help us live more clearly and freedom. We are together on this walk of self-discovery and personal growth. Let's move on with confidence and gratitude. And if you liked this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to keep learning to live lighter, more authentic and full. Let's go together on this journey.